Good morning. Welcome to Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Joel Ibanez, and I am your worship associate today. I'm joined by our minister, Reverend Sian Wiltshire, who will be speaking to you today about gifts of Judaism, one of the many world denominations also celebrated during this time of year that we have so much to learn from. Also here are our co-music directors, Steve Morahiro and Susan Shaw, and Danielle Lewis, our Director of Religious Education for Children and Youth. We all welcome you this morning, whether you've been coming here for years, weeks, or hours, like parks, beaches, or flowers. We are glad that you chose to be with us here today, this fine day. I do want to extend a special welcome to visitors. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you'll find it here. We're a community of many different identities and beliefs. We are all bound together not by dogmas, beliefs, creeds, or fears, but rather a covenant to create a welcoming, inclusive, and loving community. We need not think alike to love alike. In the spirit of building this community, let's recognize the many volunteers who have helped put this service together today. Thank you for your time and talent. Roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones, and Zoomers, we invite you to say hello in the chat. As we worship today, let us also acknowledge that our church property rests on the sacred ancestral homelands of the Ahachiman and Tongva peoples who seek justice and responsible stewardship. We begin our worship with the lighting of our chalice. So please, join me in singing our affirmation. If I can get this. Oh, did I say singing? Join me in saying our unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, seek truth and love, help one another. This we affirm together. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our opening song.
Dry and ready, oh dreidel I shall play. Oh dreidel, 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 I made you out of clay. And when you're dry and ready, oh dreidel I shall play. Made it out of clay. And when it's dry and ready, oh dreidel I shall play. Oh dreidel, 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 I made you out of clay. And when you're dry and ready, oh dreidel I shall play.
Well, if you didn't know, this evening marks the first night of Hannukah. And so our opening words today are called Hannukah by the Reverend Lynn Unger, who is a Unitarian Universalist minister, but who's also culturally Jewish. Sometimes she jokingly refers to herself as a Judaitarian. She wrote this: "Come down from the hills, declare the fighting done. Be bold, declare victory, even when the temple is wrecked and the tyrants have not retreated, only coiled back like a snake prepared to strike again. Come down, try to remember a life gentled by daily acts of domestic faith. The pot set to boil, the bed made up, the table set to calm expectations that when the sun sets, we will still be here. Come down and settle. Unlearn the years of hiding, light fires that can be seen for miles in marrow. Set lamps in the window. Declare your presence, your loyalties, the truths for which you do not expect to have to die. It would take a miracle, you say, to carve such a solid life out of the shell of fear. I say, you are the stuff from which such miracles are made. I say, you are the stuff from which such miracles are made. Well, as I mentioned, today is the first day of Hannukah. It's a joyful Jewish festival. Today I want to talk about how Hannukah began as part of our Time for All Ages. So long ago, way back before our grandparents' long before they were ever alive, the land of Israel was ruled by a really harsh and prideful king named Antiochus Epiphanes. Doesn't he look mean? He kind of looks mean. He was one of the generals under Alexander the Great. And among his many subjects were the Jewish people, who, just like today, wanted to worship their own way and honor their sacred traditions. And at the heart of their religious life stood this great temple in Jerusalem. It was the holiest of holy places. Okay, but King Antiochus did not want a kingdom of many people and many cultures. He wanted one people who lived and prayed and behaved exactly as he did. He insisted that everyone follow his Greek customs, and he demanded that the Jews abandon all of their festivals, their foods, their scriptures, and even the way that they dressed. Under his rule, the practice of Judaism was absolutely outlawed. They couldn't study the Torah, that was their sacred scripture, the sacred text. That was absolutely forbidden. The Jewish festivals were banned, and worst of all, the temple itself, that sacred center of Jewish life, was desecrated. It means they really messed it up. The king ordered their altars of Greek gods to be built inside of it, filling that holy space with idols and leaving it just defiled and in ruins. So many of the Jews were just terrified. They felt they had no choice but to obey the king's commands. But there was this small band of determined souls who refused to give up on their faith. They would not bow to their foreign gods. They would not let their tradition slip away. And these brave group were known as the Maccabees. No, not the rock band Maccabees. Okay, no. They were soldiers, they were warriors, okay. Now, compared with the king's army, the Maccabees were few in number, but they were strong in spirit, fierce in hope, and committed to freedom. And against all odds, they won. With courage and perseverance, they defeated the mighty armor of Antiochus, and they reclaimed the temple. But, their joy quickly turned to sorrow when they saw what had been done to their sacred place. The temple was filthy and broken and strewn with idols and neglect, and some wondered if it was even worth saving. But those wonderful little Maccabees, they would not give up on what was holy. Instead, they rolled up their sleeves and they got to work. They cleaned up every corner. They removed every idol. They purified and restored the temple with love and care. And when their work was complete, they held a magnificent rededication ceremony. And that is what the word Hannukah actually means, dedication. A reminder that the moment when the temple was made holy again. And one of the stories from the rededication became most famous of all. When the Maccabees went to relight the great menorah, okay, this is the menorah, you can see there, that's the 8 candle, there are not 8 candles, sorry, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, okay, 7 candles, okay. The lamp must never go out, so this is the lamp that must never go out. They found only just this tiny bit of oil. They didn't use candles back then, they used oil, right? It was barely enough for one day. But the big miracle was that small jar of oil burned for all 8 days, long enough for new oil to be prepared. And so to this day, Jewish families celebrate Hanukkah for 8 nights, beginning with tonight. Back then they used oil, but these days they light candles on the menorah. Instead, they eat foods fried in oil. They spin the dreidel, whose letters stand for the saying, I'm going to not pronounce this correctly, but Nes Gadol Hayasham, a great miracle happened there. And with every candle lit, the Jewish people remember the heart of Hanukkah's story, that even in the deepest darkness, light can be found, and that the flame of religious freedom must be cherished, protected, and passed on so that it shines for all people in every place and for all time. And that is our story for today. So I'd like to invite Danielle Lewis. She's our Director of Religious Education for Children and Youth. She's going to light our children's chalice, and we will then sing our teachers and the children out to the religious education classes.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious heart. We hold you in our love as you go.
Our reading this morning is from a very famous book called The Sabbath by Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. And this book was written back in 1951, so some of the language is a little, we'll just say male-dominated language. But his poetic understanding of Judaism is just absolutely beautiful. And if you get a chance to read, if you really want to understand the poeticness, I guess, of Judaism, I highly recommend it. So this is what he wrote. He said this: Judaism is a religion of time, aiming at the sanctification of time. Unlike the space-minded man, to whom time is unvaried, iterative, homogeneous, to whom all hours are alike, qualityless, empty shells, the Bible senses the diversified character of time. There are no 2 hours alike. Every hour is unique and the only one given at the moment, exclusive and endlessly precious. Judaism teaches us to be attached to holiness in time, to be attached to sacred events, to learn how to consecrate sanctuaries that emerge from the magnificent stream of a year. The Sabbaths are our great cathedrals, and our Holy of Holies is a shrine that neither the Romans nor the Germans were able to burn, a shrine that even apostasy cannot easily obliterate, the Day of Atonement. The Jewish ritual may be characterized as the art of significant forms in time, as architecture of time. Most of its observances, the Sabbath, the new moon, the festivals, the sabbatical, the Jubilee year, depend on a certain hour of the day or season of the year. It is, for example, the evening, morning, or afternoon that brings with it the call to prayer. The main themes of faith lie in the realm of time. We remember the day of the Exodus from Egypt, the day when Israel stood at Sinai, and our messianic hope is the expectation of a day of the end of days. He continues, one of the most distinguished words in the Bible is the word kadosh, holy, a word which more than any other is representative of the mystery and majesty of the divine. Now, what was the first holy object in the history of the world? Was it a mountain? Was it an altar? It is indeed a unique occasion at which the distinguished word kadosh is used for the first time. In the book of Genesis, at the end of the story of creation, how extremely significant is the fact that it is applied to time. Quote, and God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, kadosh. There is no reference in the record of creation to any object in space that would have endowed with the quality of holiness. This is a radical departure from accustomed religious thinking. The mythical mind would expect that under heaven and earth would have been established, that after heaven and earth have been established, God would create a holy place, a holy mountain, or a holy spring, whereupon a sanctuary is to be established. Yet it seems as if the Bible is holiness in time, the Sabbath, which comes first. The meaning of the Sabbath is to celebrate time rather than space. 6 days a week, we lived under the tyranny of things of space. On the Sabbath, we try to become attuned to holiness in time. It is a day on which we are called upon to share in what is eternal in time, to turn from the results of creation to the mystery of creation, from the world of creation to the creation of the world. Thus ends the reading. Mind blown. I invite you to just take a couple of deep breaths. Want to join me in just a moment of meditation or contemplation? Consider his words. What does it mean to make time holy? Mean to make time holy rather than space holy? When you're ready, I invite you to join Phyllis in singing Hine Ma Tov.
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים כאן יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים כאן יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים כאן יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים כאן יחד. הנה מה טוב ונעים, שבת אחים כאן יחד. הנה מה טוב ונעים, שבת אחים כאן יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים כאן יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים כאן יחד.
Right? We're so lucky to have Phyllis with us. Well, yesterday, I actually had a Sabbath. You see, Mondays those are normally my days off, but I usually spend it running around doing errands and laundry and shopping, that kind of thing. I do see friends sometimes, but I usually feel like I'm running from one thing to the next on my day off. And a day off is not really the same thing as a Sabbath, is it? Right? A Sabbath to me is more like is more than just time away from work or your to-do list. It's when time becomes sacred, right? And yesterday I participated in a tea ceremony with James and Kayla over here and some of the other people here. And it felt like time just drifted away along with my to-do list. It was only like 2 hours long, I think. It wasn't the whole day, but it felt like I entered into that sacred time that Heschel is talking about, a truly resting time. And that kind of Sabbath, I think, is rare in our Western world. And that is truly, I think, one of the greatest gifts of Judaism, right, is the Sabbath. It's a great gift if we want to receive it. Because Judaism offered this world that radical idea that rest is sacred. In a civilization that we've built on production and consumption, Judaism dares to say that one day a week, just one day a week, right? We stop. We stop working, we stop building, we stop trying to prove our worth, that it's okay to just be and drink tea or whatever floats your boat. And this idea emerged from the very beginning of the Hebrew scriptures, right? After 6 days of creation, we are told, on the seventh day, God finished the work that had been undertaken, and God ceased on the seventh day from the work that had been done, right? Genesis 2:2. The Jewish tradition teaches us that even if God rests, then rest is not weakness, it is holiness. This gift of sacred rest has shaped Western culture in specific and traceable ways. The Jewish commandment to set apart one day in 7 created something historically really unusual, a regular collective limit on labor that applied not only just to elites, but to everyone. Because you see, in the ancient world, rest was typically a privilege of the powerful. Judaism disrupted that pattern by commanding rest for you, your son, your daughter, your slave, your livestock, and the stranger who is within your gates. As Judaism spread throughout the ancient world and then all through Christianity, this rhythm of work and rest became part of the moral fabric of Western societies. By late antiquity and the medieval period, the expectation that there should be a shared day without ordinary labor, however imperfectly it was observed, was already shaping economic life and the life of communities across Europe. In the modern era, these Sabbath ideas quietly influenced emergent labor movements. Early arguments for limiting working hours and guaranteeing time off were often framed in moral terms, not just economic ones. And even today, when many people no longer observe a religious Sabbath, the expectation that work should stop, at least briefly and collectively, remains one of Judaism's enduring legacies. The very idea that rest is a right rather than a reward can be traced back to this ancient commandment. In our culture, increasingly marked by overwork and burnout and constantly being wired to the internet, right? So wired. Hi, Zoomers, we love you. The historical witness of Sabbath reminds us that limits are not failures of productivity, but safeguards of human dignity and mental health. So the Sabbath, our first gift. So Judaism also introduced a world-changing theological idea. This is ethical monotheism. It is the idea that not merely that there is one God, but this God is morally demanding. You better watch out, you better not cry. Okay. Some of you might not think this is a gift per se. Okay, I get that, but bear with me. It actually did have a huge impact on our Western world. We kind of take this for granted, but in the ancient Near East, okay, most societies were polytheistic, right? Many gods were worshipped, and those gods were associated mostly with particular places, peoples, or forces of nature, and they were often understood to be powerful, but let's just say morally shaky, okay? I mean, think of Zeus, right? Going around getting everybody pregnant. You know, the goddesses turning people into animals, right? Anytime they were just PO'd about something, right? These were not people that you look to for moral guidance, right? But you better make them happy, right? Because they could destroy your crops or whatever, right? So that's why you made sacrifices to them. So what if you did want to live a moral life? What did you do? Well, you looked to the philosophers, right? It might be the Stoics or the Epicureans or Plato or whoever it was. And most early Western philosophers understood morality as something that you discovered through, say, reason, or it was justified as part of creating harmony in community. And all of these philosophies are powerful, right? But they're ultimately on a human scale system. So one could admire them, you could aspire to them, or fail at them without the universe really objecting. And against this backdrop, the Jewish people made this startling claim that not only is there one God, but this God holds you morally accountable. This God is concerned with how human beings treat one another, with the fate of the poor, the widow, the orphan, and the stranger. And that justice is not merely a nice thing to do, it is demanded by the structure of reality itself. And that moreover, philosophical ethics was not really for the elite. Moreover, philosophical ethics was often really only for the elite, that you had to have the leisure to study it, you had to have membership in the right social class, that is, in other words, you had to be male, right, and usually a wealthy man. But Judaism really democratized morality. You did not need to be a philosopher to be righteous, nor male. You simply needed to leave your gleanings on the field, to pay your workers on time, welcome the stranger, refrain from humiliating others. So holiness was practiced in kitchens and markets and fields. So Judaism, ethics moves from the academy into daily life. It was for everyone. That's the second gift. Now, flowing directly from ethical monotheism is another profound gift, and that is the belief in the dignity and worth of all. That belief that every human being has infinite worth. And this is again in the opening chapter of Genesis. And God created humankind in the divine image, created it in the image of God. And this teaching is known as B'Tselem Elohim, the image of God, does not belong to one group, one gender, or one class. It belongs to everyone. And again, we may not think this is such a radical idea in our modern age, but from a historical context, it's hugely radical. In the ancient Near East, being in the image of God was typically a claim that was made only by kings or pharaohs. It justified their status. They were gods, or they were from a god, or the image of God. But Genesis sort of explodes this idea. It's not the king, not the priest, not even just males. It's everyone is made in the image of God. And this was a direct challenge to the political theology of its age. It flattened sacred hierarchy, even if social hierarchies still existed. In most ancient systems, dignity was earned or assigned by your status, how strong your army was, or by divine favor. But image of God locates dignity and worth in existence itself, right? You don't become valuable by being powerful, useful, or even moral. You're valuable simply because you are. Sound kind of familiar? Inherent dignity and worth of all? Anybody? And if that's the case, right, the image of God, then harming another is then offensive. Human life becomes sacred in a new way. And for ancient empires built on conquest and slavery, this was sort of quietly subversive. And okay, it's taken a while for that concept to sink in, but it's a concept that was used to abolish slavery, racism, or it's still being used to abolish racism, misogyny, transphobia, and other phobias and isms throughout centuries. It's the number one thing that's often used among Christians and Jews, Imago Dei, right? B'Tselem Elohim. It's probably one of the most powerful ideas that still has resonance today. B'Tselem Elohim is the seed of an idea that the world keeps rediscovering, that human worth precedes law, nation achievement, and belief. Long before human rights, Judaism articulated that radical idea that to encounter another person is to encounter something holy and sacred. And that's not just poetic. It's actually a really dangerous idea, especially to those who abuse power. So this fourth gift, I have to say, is one of my favorites. The gift of learning, questioning, and debate. Now, this fourth gift, as I see it, is the gift, but it came due to absolute tragedy, okay? In 70 CE, Judaism faced an absolute profound crisis. In 70 CE, their temple was utterly, completely destroyed by the Romans. And that loss was absolutely catastrophic to the Jewish people. The temple, as I described earlier, was the absolute center core of their religious life, the place where priests performed sacred rituals, offered sacrifices, and acted as intermediaries between God and the people. Holiness had been concentrated in this one sacred space, and religious authority rested largely with a hereditary priesthood. When the Romans leveled the temple, that entire system collapsed. There was no altar, no sacrifice, no place for priests to perform their ancient duties. And at first, this might have seemed like the end of Judaism itself. And yet, from this moment of devastation arose one of Judaism's most remarkable and enduring gifts, and that is the rabbinic tradition. It's something we all sort of think of when we think about as rabbis, right? In the absence of the temple, Jewish leaders began to reimagine what it meant to encounter God and live a faithful life. The center of Jewish life shifted away from ritual sacrifice and toward learning, study, and interpretation. Where priests once mediated holiness through ritual, rabbis taught holiness could be found through engaging the sacred texts, through prayer, ethical action, and daily work of living rightly. Religious authority shifted from birthright to learning, from the altar to study, from a single sacred location to communities wherever Jewish people gathered to learn. This was not just an institutional change, it was a theological one. God was no longer encountered primarily through sacrifice offered by priests, but through study, debate, and moral responsibility shared by the community. And divine presence was then understood to dwell not in sacred space, but in sacred conversation. In this way, Judaism became a portable faith, one that could survive exile, dispersion, and centuries of change because it was rooted not in a building, but in learning. And out of this rabbinic tradition emerges the gift of learning and questioning and debate. The rabbis did not seek to eliminate disagreement, they preserved it. In books like the Mishnah and the Talmud and the Midrash, arguments were recorded even when they were never resolved. Minority opinions were honored alongside majority ruling. In the Talmud, we find this famous line, "These and those are the words of the living God." It's one of the most quoted lines in all of Jewish study. These and those are the words of the living God. And this teaching, what it does, it suggests that truth is not always singular or simple, but that multiple perspectives can coexist within a faithful life. How cool is that? It's kind of very you, right? Meaning is discovered not through certainty, but through careful conversation, rigorous reasoning, and humility before complexity. Jewish learning thus becomes a lifelong practice of curiosity and engagement. Study was a sacred obligation for all. To question was not to doubt God, but to take God seriously. I love that. Isn't that cool? The rabbis transformed a religion once centered on sacrifice into one centered on interpretation, on the belief that wrestling with texts, with ethics, and with one another is itself a holy act. You know, our world, we're so impatient for quick answers, right? And Judaism offers this countercultural wisdom. Judaism does not sanctify certainty, it sanctifies study. Debate is not a failure of faith, it's an expression of love for truth. Learning is not a phase of life, it's a lifelong calling. And this insistence on study, interpretation, and holy disagreement is not only a gift to Judaism, but a gift to the wider world, really reminding us that justice, wisdom, and compassion are cultivated slowly, not through sound bites or a 5-minute podcast, but done together through persistent and thoughtful engagement. We really need to learn that gift, don't we? Now, there's one other gift that I want to mention. It's one that I deeply admire about the Jewish people and one that is woven among all of these gifts that we've already heard today. But it's also one that's a little tricky to talk about given the current political state of Israel. So I just want to be clear that when I speak about this particular gift, and I'm speaking about Judaism, I'm not speaking about the government of Israel. The Jewish people are far more than any one country or any moment in history. But for me, one of their greatest gifts and lessons that they offer the world is their resilience. They have never given up hope. The Jewish people have endured exile, persecution, forced conversion, pogroms, and genocide. And again, they were told their story was over. And again, they refused to believe it. I may not be happy with what they have achieved in Israel, but their resilience throughout history is just beyond amazing to me. And this endurance that they've had, this resilience, it's inseparable from the gifts that we've been celebrating today, right? So we've got the Sabbath that teaches rest and renewal. We've got ethical monotheism that reminds us that every life is sacred. The moral worth of humanity calls us to justice and compassion. And the gift of learning, questioning, and debate shows us that wisdom grows through curiosity, reflection, and community. The Jewish people have kept these gifts alive across millennia, passing them on to the world. And in their persistence, we are reminded that even in the darkest times, that light of hope and justice and human dignity can never be extinguished. You know, we've explored a lot of gifts of many different religions this year. We've looked at animism and Hinduism and Confucianism. And all of those traditions were less familiar to us in our modern Western world. But Judaism was kind of fascinating to me as I was going through this because we take many of their gifts, I think, for granted. We don't see them as well because we live so many of them day to day. The gifts of Judaism are not relics of the past. They are living invitations to rest in this restless world, to insist on ethics in the face of power, to honor the infinite worth of human life, and to keep learning and questioning, and to keep hoping and working toward a better world where everyone is honored. So may we receive these gifts with gratitude, and may we carry them forward, lighting candles against the darkness and refusing to give up on justice and on humanity. May it be so, and amen. I invite you to rise in body and spirit and join the Ibanez family as we sing Light One Candle.
Light one candle for the Maccabee children, with thanks that their light didn't die. Light one candle for the pain they endured when their right to exist was denied. Light one candle for the terrible sacrifice justice and freedom demand. And light one candle for the wisdom to know when the peacemaker's time is at hand. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Light one candle for the strength that we need to never become our own foe. And light one candle for those who are suffering pain we learned so long ago. Light one candle for all we believe in, let anger not tear us apart. And light one candle to bring us together with peace as the song in our hearts. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. What is the memory that's valued so highly that we keep it alive in that flame? What's the commitment to those who have died? And this is why in vain we have come this far, always believing that justice will somehow prevail. And this is the burning, and this is the promise, and this is why we will not fail. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out, it's lasted for so many years. Don't let the light go out, let it shine through our love and our tears. Don't let the light go out, don't let the light go out, don't let the light go out. Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning that the members and friends raise all the funds for the operating budget, ministries, and programs of the church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUUC amplifies that spirit of generosity by sharing half of the plate we receive with an organization that shares our values. This month, we're partnering with Share Ourselves, also known as SOS, that provides healthcare outreach and support for the homeless for all of Orange County and is located here in Costa Mesa as our neighbors right across Mesa Verde. There are multiple ways in which you can support the church and this organization. You can mail a check, you can go through our website, or use an app called Vanco Mobile. If you're a roomer, you can also simply use the basket as it's passed. The choice is yours. All the information is on our website should you need it. As always, thank you for your generosity.
Thank you, Amelia and Aaron. Please join in singing We Gather Together. This is a song written by two of our congregation members. It's a song that puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts we share. We gather together, we gather as one, for peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
Well, now, of course, is that time when we honor the important events and people in our lives, and you're invited, one and all, whether you're a member, friend, or visitor, to participate in our weekly ritual called Joys and Sorrows. I want to begin by inviting Bertie Reed up here. She will assist in lighting joys and sorrows. So the idea is, if you come here today holding something that struck you close to your heart, something from the last days, weeks, or hours, if you'd like to honor such a profound joy or sorrow, you are invited to do so. If you're a roomer, you're invited to come forward to light a candle. And if you'd like to share your joy or sorrow, you can write it on a slip of paper that the ushers have here. They have slips of paper. If you want to raise your hand, they'll be happy to give you that. You can write it out and simply hand it to me or to Joel, and they will pass it to me, and we'll read those out loud. And now if you're a Zoomer, what you can do is you can write it in the chat, and then I'll read them out loud, and Bertie will light a candle for you. So once the roomers are done lighting the candles, I'll read all the joys and sorrows out loud. And I invite you, as music is played, to silently offer healing or celebration as you feel called and according to your own beliefs. Please come forward. All right, I'll read those here in person today. Let's see, Dave Carlson, there's a lot of birthdays we got today. So he lit a candle of joy. He said, celebrating my grandson's birthday, Miles, who turned 13 yesterday. The weather is also celebrated with a temperature of 13 below zero. Hey, no worries. And Rachel L., she says, she also lit a candle of joy. She says, my younger son, Evan's 12th birthday. Next year, I will have 12 teenagers in the house. Pray for her. Okay, no. Jamie and Jazzy also lit a candle of joy. They said, happy birthday to our dear friend, Sarah Jones. Her birthday was on Friday. She is our administrator. Thanks so much for all you do to help others. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Let's see here. And Craig P., K P, says the flowers, these flowers in particular right here, for her son Craig's birthday, green for healthy earth. She said, you might like to notice Craig's shoes today. I'm assuming he's got some new shoes today. Okay, let's see here. And Marilyn F., she also has a candle of joy, of thankfulness. She said, being able to share this morning with all of you, especially because it's my birthday today. All right, let's see here. And then Shirley T., she said she lit a candle because her daughter visited from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we had a wonderful time spent with all 3 kids. Adults, all of whom are 3 kids, all 3 adult kids. Thank you, Shirley. And Meg W., she lit a candle of joy. She says, thank you, Reverend Sean, for the beautiful sermon today. You're very welcome. Tonight I will be highlighting 2 menorahs. I will be lighting 2 menorahs I have at home. One pink one for my daughter and another one for my son. That's lovely. Right on. Okay, let's see here. Jamie and Jazzy lit a candle for hoping for a quick recovery for Lori K. And in fact, there's actually a number of here for Lori K. Lori is online. Lori, Sharon Ball also lit a candle of concern for Lori, who displaced bones in her wrist last week. She's coping with one hand available to use. If you didn't know, she fell here at church actually afterwards, and yeah, so she could use some loving. Yeah. So in fact, Lori sent in. She would like a candle lit, in fact. Bertie, if you could light a candle for Lori. She says, due to a displaced wrist fracture, boy, you don't just displace your wrist, but you get a wrist fracture. She says, I won't be at church for a while, but I'll see you on Zoom. She says, I have unending gratitude to Judith for taking me to urgent care and ER and staying with me through the trauma. I really miss being with you all, dear friends. Calls and texts are welcome. So please reach out to Lori. As you know, she's one of our amazing pastoral care work, team members, and she's reached out to so many of you. So I encourage you to reach back out to her. She's just so wonderful, and she's frustrated, and her bird is not helping. She's got the most demanding parrot ever. At any rate. Let's see here. All right. The other is also, could you light a candle, Bertie, for Abby McGuire. She is at home undergoing cancer treatment, and it's been pretty rough. So please send healing thoughts and prayers to Abby. And Wendy R., she lit a candle of hope for her teenage son who is struggling with severe depression. I've had a couple of different people mention this. One is from Phyllis, and another person who said this anonymously, but candle of sorrow. I didn't realize that this had happened, but a candle, they lit candles for the hate causing death and injury to Jews celebrating the first day of Hannukah in Australia. If you're aware that there were 11 killed at a Hannukah event today in Sydney, Australia. Phyllis also lit a candle for hope, for fast healing, for her beloved Phil. Oh, our beloved Phil. Phil, that's right, in our choir. He had a procedure and would love to have some healing. And Alejandro, he lit a candle, said, my soul has been heavy as grief seems to have surfaced. Grieving family, living and dead. Grieving real unity of family that may never come, likely won't. Feeling excluded even when I know it's ironically for the best. Weighs heavy this year during the holidays. I think somebody needs a hug. All right. Virtual hugs to Alejandro. All right. And for those in the chat, can we please light a candle of memory? So these flowers on the table over here, you could light a candle of memory for Sarah H. The flowers beautifully done by our own Sandy Martin. She says those are to remember Sarah's husband, Rob, and their anniversary. It would have been 53 years that they were married. She says, I miss him every day. And Peggy P. also would like a candle lit for the shootings on Bondi Beach in Sydney, killing now, she says it's 12 at a Hannukah party. Let us hold in love all the joys and celebrations, and of course all the hurts and sadness, both spoken and silent. Let our joys remind us to be thankful, our concerns remind us to hope, and our sorrows remind us to connect. Let all these moments remind us that we are not alone. I want to invite you to join Bertie in a spirit of prayer. I'll bring the prayer to her.
Psalm 23, rewritten by Steve Garnes Holmes. Lord, you shepherd me. Generously, you place my life in my hands. You rest me in the meadow of your presence. I drink from the gentle brook of your peace. You are my next breath and the next. You are my path, my steps. The way to life leads through death. You go there and I willingly follow you. Your presence beside me, your wisdom before me. Despite my fears and doubts, this life is a feast. You embrace me with such love, feed me with such delight. Your goodness and mercy shadow me, and with every breath I am returned again and again to you.
Let us join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice and say together, we extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you're a guest, a visitor, or someone who hasn't yet been known to us, I invite you to become a part of this beloved community. If you'd like to know more about our church, we invite you to either stop by the welcome table out in the courtyard or contact us at hello@ocuuc.org, and we will help you get connected. Zoomers are welcome to stay after the chat with one another and chat with one another online. We do want you to feel the same presence of belonging that we were all lucky to have received here among our fellowships. So please reach out and we'll get right back.
Okay, announcements. A couple of things that I want to again just point out. So after the service today in my office, if you're interested in learning more about this church, if you're interested in knowing more about membership, or you want to just talk to me about, I don't know, whatever life meaning, whatever, you're welcome to join me and Melanie. We're going to do sort of, it's kind of what we call Meet the Minister. It's kind of a chance to just ask any questions that might have been nagging at you or anything like that. So it's in my office. We have a nice little couch in there and chat, little chat place in there. If you'd like to come over there, we'll meet there after the service. Just give me a few minutes to get through the crowds, and I'll meet there. So, and Zoomers, we decided that actually what we're going to do is we're going to have a special Zoom time, and of course anybody would be welcome to come. For Zoomers, if anybody would like to set up a time, what we'll do is we'll set up a time sometime in the next week or the first week in January to meet with everybody. So if there's anybody online who also has that hankering, we'll do that. So the other thing is next Sunday after the service at 2 o'clock, so go out, have lunch if you want to come back and be a part of what's called the longest night with housing as a human right. It's a ritual that they do every year to remember those who have died due to homelessness. So you are welcome to participate in that. Yeah. So.